What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 2 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Khatep Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, a fairly strong start saw us take the Red Desert, our first full territory, and then promptly move southward, where a plethora of enemies awaited us. Certainly a decent set of enemies, of decent variety, I should say, as we faced off against orcs, followed by Skaven, and then followed by Dark Elves as well, and we'll be seeing more Skaven and Dark Elves before moving on to the Lizards afterwards. Now, in terms of what we got to do this turn, since we ended the last episode off immediately after the battle at Hag Hall, I believe we're pretty much ready to end the turn and I guess find out whether the Wood Elves attack us, in which case we'll have to destroy them and possibly vassalize them at the Witchwood, or whether we can maintain an ally or friendly relations for now. They don't hate us, but they don't love us either, so yeah, two sort of neutral factions, and they did, I'm sure, want Hag Hall, but well, we'll be willing to trade it to them next turn. Anyway, let's skip, let's go forward and move towards Scarpel's lair, and then down southward to the Skaven. Go. Alright, while the turn is ending, quick bit of housekeeping. As per usual around here, we will be doing an engagement threshold to determine the length of the episode. So, if this episode gets 500 likes and 70 comments, the next episode will be an hour long, though I have a tendency to always go over, but anyway, rather than the standard 30 minutes. Plus, if we keep the streak going, there will be periodic double episode days as well. So do keep that in mind if you're into that sort of thing, and drop your likes and comments below. Anyway, as expected, Scarpel's lair will be retaken by the Clan Gritus Skaven, but that's just fine. We're not worried about it, and they're just gonna sack it. Not a concern for us at all. That's why we didn't invest in that thing at all. Now, it looks like indeed the Witchwood or the Wood Elves did not attack us. Oh, Savage Blow, eh? Charge bonus plus 20 for all armies. Well, frankly, we have a lot of fast movers, so it's not a big deal. Research 8 technologies, which we will do ASAP, but for now hold off. And in fact, I think what we want to do for at least a little bit is switch briefly to the Wisdom of the First Dynasty. Well, then again, experience gain plus 10%. What we could do is essentially get this down to like 1 turn and then go back to this. Granted, we'd be without an army, but we're not really at war with a lot of enemies as yet, so there may be a reason to do it. You know what, I'll think about it after we're done this turn. What we want to do first is see if Hag Hall is worth a lot to these guys now.
Who won't hesitate to kill in her
Alright, pretty decent. Not willing to vassalize over it, but we can do a defensive alliance and a trade agreement, and then take the rest in money like that. 5,000. Very exactly 5,000? That almost seems suspicious. Wait. I just want to try something. Just based off my Imran campaign. We do 5,100. Wait, what? Huh, okay, that didn't work. Demand payment. 5,100. Huh? Why is it maxing out at 3,000? Alright, fine, just balance the offer. Just give us 5,000. Maybe that's the max they're willing to do. We don't really need to do military access, at least not right now, and I'm willing to bet that this will eventually make them friendly enough for that to work anyway. So, do this.
with grace.
Beautiful. And hopefully we can find another territory to gift them in order to get the outpost up and running now. Khatep, since we now have the money to upgrade Cleric Spire to Tier 3, we're going to want to move you here to do so, because Tier 3 will give us a lot of extra stuff. Screaming Skull Catapults, Tomb Guard, and Sepulchral Stalkers, or Ushabti, or a Tomb Scorpion. There's lots of good stuff in there, so yeah. Cleric Spire, we'll build you. And while we're here, let's also build the Regnant Catacombs. And, we could do the Obsidian Quarry for Canopic Jars and trade, or we could do another Public Order building. The Public Order, yeah, I think we're going to have to do the Public Order. It's just that we need more Public Order in order to be able to build stuff faster, get that construction time reduction, so I think it has to be prioritized. Then Khatep, you will move south and move onwards towards Scarpel's lair and forward, though, did these guys lose a bunch of units actually doing that? It's kind of funny, but anyway. And, oh, Are we still in this province? Plain of Dogs? Yes, we are. I guess we can upgrade Ice Rock Gorge while we're at it. Why not? And then you can switch to Worship of Asaph, and I guess you can switch as well. Gotta get that public order back up and running. And I think that's about it. Now we have to decide whether we do the Wisdom of the Second Dynasty. And I mean, this will give us the income from post-battle loot and growth as soon as we're able to shell out 5k, which is pretty solid as well. I mean, granted, it's not a crazy amount of growth. 10% experience gain. Oh, it's only for units, though. It's not for Lords in One control. You know what? I think we can wait at least a few turns to lower this a little bit before getting our second army. The thing is, no matter what we do down here, our second army will be set up right here at Hrothgar Spire, because there's a decent likelihood that Torox or Skaven or Malekith or Chaos will start moving southward, especially as soon as they've kicked out the dwarfs here, meaning we'll need the defenders there. But since we don't need to right now, I think we can take a couple of extra turns. Right's available, and it's still just the useless incantation of Kassar with that Sandstorm ability, or Sandstorm attrition that it does, and I believe we're good to go. So, skip, building upgrade available, damaged building, and Scarpel's Lair, don't care about that. Outpost available. Oh man. 2,000 gold though. Can we spend 2,000 gold on this right now? We're already going to be racking up allegiance because of the defensive alliance. I think we can maybe wait on the outpost and just hope that they don't get a defensive alliance with anybody else over the next few turns, which admittedly is fairly unlikely, so I think we're okay. That's on the turn. Let's proceed southward. Hold on to the money until we can use it to build up more military structures. And, oh, is the reason that they didn't occupy or raise Scarpel's Lair because there's a Hunter city there? Interesting. Well, it won't be there for long. Especially as I imagine we'll be wiping out the faction rather shortly. Alright, good to go. Scarpel's Lair under city discovered. Sacrifice to Mathland performed. Ally begins outpost construction. Good for Ally. And we have to maintain control of 3 provinces. Working on it, game. Working on it. Now, I take it we can't reach Tyrant Peak, and by the looks of it we cannot. But what we can do is move into... I was about to say ambush stance, but actually go into channeling because you need it. You're running out of mana and you need to actually be able to cast stuff. Also, out of curiosity, it's only 500 to burn it out right now. I mean, I say only, but, you know. Could be better. Let's build a sepulcher here, which is also only 500, and this thing will come up, but we'll still only build a cheap sepulcher and the growth building here until we have all 3 territories built up to tier 3. So no need to actually change anything as yet. Now, Khatep, you now have your King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion available, and I think we have to get rid of one of the skeleton archers in order to build it. Which is a bit of a shame since they do quite a bit of damage, but we have a lot of fast movers here, and yeah. Let's build this thing. Poison is also a nice contact effect to have on our front line. Now, oh, Tyrant Peak is a settlement by the looks of it with walls, meaning we're going to have to knock out a few enemy towers. I do want to take a quick look at diplomacy. Daughters of the Forest seem to be okay with us, but I fear they're going to get into a war with the sisters there. Unless we can force the sisters to fight somebody else. In fact, just out of curiosity. Hagrief? 12, not likely. Clan Grittus 4.2, but still not super likely. Okay, so they don't wanna. It's alright. We'll deal. Khatep, hold on to your skill points. Let's skip, and end the turn, I think. Once more. We're still not collecting income here, but yeah, at only 288, it's probably not worth it. Also thinking we should probably delete this thing. I was going to put the additional skeleton archers from this into the second army. Maybe we should keep it up at least for now. It'll also give us additional Tomb Guard capacity as soon as we have, as soon as we start building Tomb Guard, I guess. So yeah, let's end the turn. Let's proceed southward. I didn't just skip 2 turns instead of moving, did I? I don't even know. I guess it doesn't matter over much either way. Either way, it's taking a bit of time to build our early stuff up, and that's normal for Tomb Kings, so that's just fine. Frankly, it's often a good idea with early game Tomb Kings to skip a few turns just to head forward. Anyway, stance grade dynasties, please. Onward and southward to Tyrant Peak. Valiant defeat with a ton of rats, eh? I think we're going to besiege this, mostly because I think we'd have an easier time on the battlefield than we would on in the settlement due to our maneuverability, so we'll see if they're willing to fight us outside, and if they are, then obviously fight them outside. This thing is now increased to 750, but once again, this is probably not super relevant to us right now, especially as Clan Gritus has, what, 2 territories? 1 territory, meaning they'll be destroyed immediately after losing Tyrant Peak, so, and that's just fine. Buildings, let's immediately get that Sepulchre up and running just for the, well, I guess additional money. I was about to say additional control, but it doesn't actually give us that. And then another mortuary house for additional growth and a teensy bit more money as well. I think it's kind of neat the way that the Tomb King sort of infrastructure thing is done. You essentially start the early game building these things, and then later switch to the Ancient Kingdom stuff, going through the Ancient Pyramids and then the Ancient Stonecraft to make money, as well as the Golden Age Monument. So superior growth, superior money-making, and this is faction-wide money-making as well. It's kind of neat dynamic, and I like how it makes you think a little bit more about how you build stuff for the Tomb Kings. Anyway, just in case we have to fight, we will build the ram and some siege towers. As in, just in case we have to fight the siege battle. And then we'll end the turn and then find out. Go. I'm hoping the rats sally out. Granted, I'm sure a lot of them will escape the, well, any battle that they fight. But we have so many fast movers, we'll still be able to chase them down, no problem, I'm sure. We do also have to think about considering the quest item relatively early, and there we go. They will indeed fight. Damn, they have a lot of frickin' warp grinders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's even a reinforcement army. 7 warp grinders. Now that's going to be iffy, and we're going to have to try our best to avoid getting our fast movers stuck in them. Now let's get to it. Alrighty, sacrifice them indeed, and there's a fair few to be sacrificed. I really wasn't expecting that 4th reinforcing stack. I thought the rats had committed all they had, but alas, they had not. On the bright side, more things to a Sandstorm and Casket of Souls. Anyway, here we go. We're going to start the battle, and just like that, popping off our first Sandstorm, getting it on cooldown while we charge the enemy units of wolf rats in the background. The battle will be entirely dictated by how well we can deal with those warp grinders, allowing them to close the distance and activating those seismic snares and, more importantly, warp quakes against our very fragile Tomb King infantry will probably collapse our infantry very, very quickly. And the fact is, the enemy just has a ton of those warp grinders. So, we gotta keep our distance from them, just keep bombarding him with our Casket of Souls, move our missile chariots in from the flanks over here to do damage to them as well. All the while casting spells, including Spirit Leech, on them. Any isolated units, like this unit of clan rats attempting to escape, will be targeted by our carrion and by other fast movers as best we can. Gotta remember that there's also, on top of winning, there's 2 aspects to this particular battle. The nature of fighting the rats is that they're very, very quick to run off the field, and they are also, any unit that survives are going to be fought again next turn, or immediately after this rather. So we have to chase down and destroy every single unit that we possibly can. Or at the very least that's the plan. We'll see if it survives contact with the enemy, because there is a lot, and I mean a lot of enemies to have contact with. Here we go. Those 3 reinforcing stacks are getting on the field now. We're going to activate our army-bound Sandstorm ability, which is only available to us when defending. And I do believe this one is slightly bigger than Khatep's own ability, so by the looks of it, it's going to do a decent bit of damage to the enemy arrivals. We also have our bombardment from the Flock of Jeff. We're going to drop their bombs on the rats below, on the biggest concentration of rats below. There we go. It's not a crazy amount of damage. We got, let's see how they did. 244 kills and 14k damage. Yeah, not a crazy amount of damage by any means, but certainly worth our time. There we go. Decent bit of Skullstorm, Sandstorm damage, and we've got another one and getting on the field, right on top of this unit of Warp Grinders. And this is the one from Khatep. And it's a pretty darn big area, bigger than the actual sort of center of the storm, which we should be pretty darn happy about. Though it sadly didn't do really much of anything to the Warp Grinders. It looks like the ability clears out chaff infantry like nobody's business, but the heavily armored Warp Grinders, regardless of the fact that they have very low HP, took also very little damage. But oh well, not a huge deal. The enemies are still moving towards us in droves and more reinforcements approaching. As with all of the stacks on the field, we just have so darn many rats to deal with. Isolated units continue to take charges over on the flanks, while Khatep and his 2 mortuary priests back off towards our main line. The bombardment will continue for as long as we can with our Casket of Souls before having to back it off, as we've deployed in such a way that the skeletal archers will fire after these guys come out of the forest, rather than wasting their shots in the forest itself. So we do have to back the Casket of Souls behind them, so we can take advantage of that. Anyway, Casket of Souls will continue targeting Warp Grinders. Our units of ranged chariots are also riding around, looking for the ability to target another Warp Grinder, while we continue dropping Spirit Leeches on the Warp Grinders as well. It's all Warp Grinders all the time. Looks like a unit of Wolf Rats is hot on Khatep's heels as he books it on back towards our main line. Once again, lovely that he's not on foot anymore, though he'll be right back to being super slow shortly as we put him back on that Casket of Souls. Fortunately, he does manage to lead the Wolf Rats to our line of Skeleton Archers, who should be able to obliterate them fairly quickly. And unlike previous battles, we've actually kept our unit of Necropolis Knights with this army. As in with the main army, rather than moving around in the background. If you're wondering why I've done this, as I've said, the Warp Grinders will completely dictate the battle, and there's a thing to playing against Warp Grinders against the AI. It typically will never activate its Seismic Snare or its Earthquake or Warpquake as long as the Warp Grinder is only fighting a single unit. The AI is sort of programmed to attack or to use that ability on multiple units at once, and thus you can take advantage of it by sending a powerful unit like the Necropolis Knights through enemy ranks to hunt down the enemy Warp Grinders and not be in fear of activating the Warpquake. Or at least that's the plan. And we'll just have to hope that the Necropolis Knights don't get surrounded and obliterated for their trouble. Another unit of Warp Grinders, and another unit of Warp Grinders, and another unit of Warp Grinders, and another unit of Warp Grinders moving in. 4 still sticking around. We're going to try to focus one down with a combined Skeleton Archer and Spirit Leech fire, while we still ride around and away from them so that they don't focus us down. Out here, our chariots are sort of left in the open space. The sort of woods that they would have to cross are kind of an annoyance, and we're not going to do that as yet, because these guys have plenty of space to maneuver out here, whereas they would have to be slowed down quite a bit by the forest. On the bright side, we had to wait here anyway for the enemy Plague Claw Catapult to make its way on the field, and the Carrion and the Chariots combined will be able to destroy them, or at the very least send them off field right quick. Alright, and the enemy army is hitting our main line now. The Necropolis Knights have moved on in and are working on one unit of the Warp Riders. We have managed to send another unit off with a combined fire of the Casket of Souls and Skeleton Archers, though it does look like the enemy melee troops are now moving in and distracting the Soul Grinders as well, or Skeleton Archers as well. Soul Grinders here under the ministrations of the Necropolis Knights, as well as those Spirit Leeches, are looking like they're just about to go. And out here, a single unit of Nehekara warriors are attempting to hold back 3 units of clan rats. Brave warriors, one and all, but I guess Tomb Kings are immortal anyway, so even if their bodies get ripped apart, their souls will return anyway. So it doesn't matter over much. And we're going to help them out a little bit. We have another Skull Storm available to us. Fortunately, the enemy has attempted to move past the damaged Nehekara warriors, so this should rip apart a few of those rats without damaging our warriors in turn. Out here, it looks like the enemy is starting to spam those darn Warp Lightnings, but we do activate Realm of Souls, and we'll be able to heal at least a little bit of that off. We also have the problem of the enemy actually having 3 lords and heroes. Wait, or is it 4? I think it's 4. 2 warlords, an assassin, and... yeah, 2 warlords, a Grey Seer of Ruin, and a Master Assassin. Now, we have no way to quickly kill those, or at the very least, the only unit that probably could. Our Necropolis Knights can't really be committed to doing so, so we are just going to ignore them and are hoping to rout and destroy the rest of the enemy army. Here comes that Warpquake activation, just close enough to hit our units of Skeletal Warriors. But they're here to not only hold the line, but to die and activate the Realm of Souls and heal more important units. They're like the unarmored Kossars of this campaign. And there's 2 Warp Grinders left on the field. One we've peeled away from with our Necropolis Knights. Ooh, I just saw one of the Necro Serpents go down. Hopefully they can run down this unit of Warp Grinders. And once again, it is also important to actually run those enemies down, in the sense that we can't let too many of them to escape off field, or else we'll just have to fight them again. Fortunately, the balance of power is at about 80% in our favor. The enemy army is really suffering. Their most elite units, the Plague Monks, are most elite after the Warp Grinders. Look to be just about done, having been focused down by our artillery and by our Skeleton Archers. Our Nehekara Horsemen, our Carrion, our Chariots are all in the background running down everything that they can, even while the sort of stragglers and lords and heroes continue to fight. Alas for the rats, I don't believe they'll be fighting for too much longer, as most of their units have been destroyed. Our Skeletal Archers are going to start focusing down those Plague Monks to get that Unbreakable unit off field, and to get that damn poison application out. And by the looks of one more volley, and we'll take care of them. Out here, our Nikesh's Scorpion Legion have been distracting a single warlord for the entire time, and the other warlord is ripping apart some of our Skeleton Archers. But once again, these are all disposable units. The Nikesh's Scorpion Legion looks pretty fantastic. Love those scorpions on their shields. If only you could, similar to color schemes, if only you could choose sort of unit looks in general, like choose which shields your faction uses, etc., etc. Maybe a lot of people don't really care about the sort of army painter type of thing, but I'd love it. Frankly, I'd love to paint every single army in individual campaigns to make them stand out from each other a little more. Anyway, with the enemy Grey Seer under fire from all of our remaining Skeleton Archers, it looks like the enemy army will shatter and the battle will be ours. We are going to have to spend quite a lot of time chasing all those rats down. It was a fairly long and absolutely glorious battle, in my opinion, so I'm pretty happy with that. But this unit of Skeleton Spears with 86 units, more than half of their units remaining, are in crumbling and are slowly going to lose their units. This Skeleton Archer is also crumbling away and taking damage. 10 damage per second or 20 damage per second, I don't know, but both of those units will die while we chase the enemy down, and we have no choice but to chase them down. Especially as we can kill off a few of those enemy heroes. And you know what? I'm glad we have the Spirit Leech / the Allure of Death guy. He's been pretty critical to this army. 10,000 damage, but it's almost all damage only to Warp Grinders, and now a little bit more to enemy lords. Frankly, in this particular battle, it was more useful than the Lure of Nehek. Anyway. Ooh, an absolutely glorious fight made fairly difficult by the presence of all those warp grinders. Even if they're not in direct combat, they have a tendency to sort of dictate the battlefield due to you not being able to close more than one unit in with them at the same time. Unfortunately, we lost 3 units. Technically, during the fight, we actually lost only one of them, but the other 2 crumbled away while we were slowly crumbled away, mind you, while we were chasing the enemies down. I've always thought it was a very dumb aspect of the mechanic for both the Vampire Counts, Coast, and the Tomb Kings, basically anything undead, that they can still keep crumbling away after the battle is over. It's silly, and it definitely needs to be removed. Because then you have to choose otherwise between chasing enemies down or rather allowing your units to survive, I guess. Anyway, we get about 900 gold versus 12% healing. We do want the healing, I will admit. However, we also do want the money. Is this a bad idea? I mean, it's not like they can build more warp grinders, so there's that. Take the healing, screw it. Take the healing, and as long as it didn't bug out and we can still attack... Ooh, Manblight Tribe are here. That's interesting. Pay Chest Mercenaries. I don't know what that does. Hero action success chance plus 10, hero action cost minus 30%. Don't think that does anything for us right now. Imminent Rebellion, Ashen Coast, but that's in Tyrant Peak, right? Yeah, so it's exactly where we are. A Cultist of Assyrian, second front recruit an additional lord, working on it, and we're good. Alright, Khatep, you have not reached rank 10, and so we have to continue keeping on saving your points to move into Reanimator and then all the good stuff here. Mostly Sandstorm is what we really want. Otherwise, though, we can level you 2 up. One of you have reached rank 10, so that's more replenished troops, and you probably want to max out Soul Blight. It's just too good not to max out. Oh! We also have your Keeper of Lore and... Incantation of Preservation. Before getting our new Lord, we could rank him up, or start him up at rank 3. If we get that on both of these guys. I'm inclined to say it's probably worth our time. And it's faction-wide, after all. And another good reason to use these guys as buffers. On the other hand, if we get... Wait, is it Justice of Assyrian summons a large unit of skeleton warriors automatically if these guys get hurt, or Disciple of Tra gives us that explosion ability. This enables us to escape if these guys get caught. This enables us to summon a free unit if they get hurt. Oh, it's not even if they get hurt, if it's a nearby unit gets hurt. I mean, it's free units. It's free units that are sacrificable. Which generally tells me it's a good idea. Although I guess, okay, the question is, let me just see here. Alright, there's basically nothing in the settlement. Okay, this we can probably auto-resolve. Ooh, wait, will this put us up to rank 10? A moment. Alright, let's risk the auto-resolve. That's not so bad. Get a free luck stone. If this puts us up to rank 10... on Khatep, yes it does, and the big thing is the Sphinx of Usek. I mean, the big thing quite literally. I'm not entirely sure why this thing is at rank 10. I could have sworn it used to be at rank like 30 or something like that. Maybe it's something special for Khatep, I don't know. What I do know is now that we have a freaking Necro Sphinx, so we don't care. We take what we want. Alrighty. And what we now need is a Necrotect, but, well, hopefully. Hey, Heralds of Ariel, they're actually trying to help against Clan Garitas. Kind of surprising. Free armor of silvered steel. Khatep, what are you using armor-wise? Nothing. Well, now you're using an armor of silvered steel. Good job, buddy. And no ancillaries to do anything with. Alright, don't collect the income here. In fact, it'll rebel no matter what, and there's a decent likelihood that the Man-Blight tribe attacks us. Man, we're gonna have to leave the settlement. Ugh. No choice, huh? Not, yeah. Because these guys will besiege us, and we need the healing. Can't be not healing. Oh, now here's a question. Do we keep in constant casualty or punishment rate, or do we recruit units? I think we keep the constant casualty or punishment rate. Well, either way, we want Reanimator now, Leadership Aura, Local Recruitment Duration -1, and Leadership for Nehekara Warriors. Out of this, there's a lot of good stuff, and I mean a lot of good stuff. Sandstorm, to me, is the best thing right now, even though there's a lot of great buffs here. I mean, obviously we want everything, including the hero recruit rank for Lich Priests and to Grand Hierophant, but 40% cooldown reduction on Sandstorm, which was already a fairly strong ability, is really, really strong. So I'm going to say double up on Sandstorm and then go through the other stuff after. Well, the Sphinx of Usek really helps out. Alrighty, you two. Rank 11 and 10 now, so you can take Incantation and Preservation. Wait. You can take Incantation and Preservation and replenish troops, and we'll wait on Disciple of Assyrian. And you can take Incantation and Preservation and replenish troops. Just for the additional Lord Recruit rank, because, well, soon we'll be recruiting. Tyrant Peak, you can start... actually build a military structure here and enable us to recruit some stuff. Though the tier 3 will be recruited here, so we'd probably want a lord to ferry a bunch of stuff over. It'll be a long time until we can recruit tier 3 here. Yeah, so that to me says we probably will want to get the obelisk for the public order here in the Plain of Dogs. Get this for additional Tomb Guard. Actually, wait, out of curiosity. This thing, it just says unit capacity +4 Tomb Guard. I'm going to assume that means of each kind, because if it does, it's a massive power-up. If it only means the regular non-halberd kind, then not so much. Because, see, this thing says unit capacity +1 Tomb Guard, non-halberd, but this one specifies halberd, so it's kind of unclear whether it means both to one of each, or both of each type, you know what I mean, or not, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, Regnant Catacombs for you, and Tyrant Peak, I guess you'll go for the obelisk as well. So I suppose if we build the Crypt Barracks here, start with the obelisk. And we don't really need the Charnel Plaza, but let's repair the place for now. And we don't need to burn down the city because, or Skaven Undercity, because it should in theory disappear. Alright, Imminent Rebellion, that's free XP and stuff. Let's double check diplomacy, and then we're getting ready to end the turn. Oh, what an epic fight though, that was really fun. Really, really fun. Clan Gritus would actually peace out, that's hilarious. We could get 1700 money from them. And then what? They'd survive, but then they'd just raid our territory, wouldn't they? I'm really tempted to get the money. Oh, they are at war with Korhok Manripper, though. Huh. What would they do, I wonder? I mean, the Heralds of Ariel won't like us piecing out with them, but... Do we do this? Is this dumb? This is a bad idea. How far would they be able to move, I wonder? Ah, wait. Are you telling me they can't move past us? They can... Oh, right now they're stuck, but if we... He said, no, let's not. If they start raiding these territories, we're going to have to stick around here, and it'll be a whole annoying thing. Let's just ignore it. Outpost available. I'd love to build it, but for now I think we need the money more, because we're about to hit tier 3. And Plain of Dogs. It's one additional Tomb Guard for 900, which is kind of steep. On the other hand, though, build it up because we can delete it and get most of our money back anyway. Now end turn. And I guess we're going to... Slicin'? Oh, that's another rebellion, alright. Well, not another rebellion, a rebellion. I guess now we're going to switch to getting our next lord. We went through a little bit, but now we need to get the... Soldier Tor. You want peace, it's not gonna happen. Now we need to get the stuff operational. What do I mean by stuff, you... Ooh, Manlight Tribe, going this way. the Tomb Guard operational. Clan Grit is destroyed, no more Undercity. Beautiful. The disappeared in Hrothgar's Spire, minus growth. Man, I keep getting the disappeared in every campaign, and it's annoying me in equal measure everywhere. Worship and 500. That's because these guys are raiding. I was like, why are we losing money? Is that why? It should be 700 because we're getting 720 from this province. Interesting. Yeah, presumably. I wonder if we can reach these guys. We should be able to. Alright, we're going to start by attacking this little tiny... Okay, this should be auto-resolvable. This should really be auto-resolvable. Let's hope that the auto-resolve doesn't completely screw us over on this one. And auto-resolve this, don't screw us. Don't do it, auto-resolve. Okay, good. I'm always very worried about the chariots because they're constructs. Let's bind souls rather than take the money just for the replenishment over the next few turns, and then we'll fight this little Beastmen tribe. Can never leave Beastmen alone. And just can never. They're currently at war with Sildretor. Damn, if only we weren't at war with Sildretor in that moment, we'd be able to take them out. Oh! Looks like Sildretor is getting wrecked by Morathi, but that's fine. Still keeping Morathi busy, and that'll hopefully enable us to move to ancient city of Quintex. Though... Huh, look at that, Kislev, staying alive. We don't want Kislev taking territories of the ancient city of Quintex or Titan Peaks territory. I don't really care if they hold this, because frankly, they can just go there and be our buffer. Also, how are you doing? Well, 5 territories, and they're still alive. How do they like us, though? Let's figure that out. Decently well. Decently well. Alrighty, now. It's time to get the Tomb Guard guys. So you're going to get up in the wisdom of the Second Dynasty Tex. You are going to attack the Man-Blight tribe right now, declare war, and yes, they should run, not fight. Because anything seeing the Sphinx of Usak would run. And we'll hit him again. Attack indeed. Close victory. We even get the settlement reinforcements. I'm not super concerned now that we have the monster. Go. Alright, Khatep is really into sacrificing them, but here we go, man. Say one thing about the Khatep start. Or say what you want about the Khatep start, but the variety of enemies is just fantastic. We've already faced off against Orcs, Skaven, and the Dark Elves, and now we've got Beastmen as well, plus the proximity of Wood Elves, and Dwarfs, and Lizards, and Kislevites, and Ogres. There's a lot going on in this part of the map, and a lot of easy access to a lot of enemies. Anyway, we're going to start the battle up by moving our cavalry and our brand spanking new Sphinx of Usak towards the enemy, looking absolutely fantastic in that sort of marble alabaster look that it's got. And I can't wait to see those anti-single entity, I don't know, arm claws, I don't even know what to call this weapon, get to work. Oh, these guys do have full arms. They're sort of holding these things. They're like punch daggers or punch kopeshes. Huh, that's kind of neat. You know what, for some reason, I had always assumed that these things were sort of like fused to the Necrosphinx's arms, but they are actually just weapons that they're holding. If you really wanted to, you could drop those and just sort of throttle the life out of anybody you want. Oh, I'd love to see that, just like a giant unit throttling the life out of another giant unit once their weapons are destroyed or something like that. Or just throwing hands in general. A little bit more work for units that are, you know, damaged after time battling. Anyway, looks like our Necropolis Knights have engaged with the enemy doggos back here. An enemy blob is moving towards us now, but that's just fine by us. If they want to attempt to make their way uphill in a sort of blob like this, they're going to suffer for it. This is an ideal target not only for our Casket of Souls, but for Khatep's Sandstorm. There we go. Area denial and heavy damage will send many an Ungor flying. And many a Gore and Ungor fleeing in terror. There we go, a bloody end for about half the enemy army as that massive sandstorm obliterates them. The Sphinx of Usak is hanging around Khatep now. And just getting in a few hits with those blades, but it looks like due to that the effectiveness of the sandstorm and our casket of souls, we won't need too much of it. Our cavalry will continue to run down those relatively low mass Ungors susceptible to charges of Nehekara horsemen and our Necropolis Knights alike, similar to the Skaven and their low-mass basic infantry. And there we go with that. The balance power shifts to about 95% in our favor. Our chariots and carrion work on any straggler units, and the only thing remaining on field is the enemy lord. And chase him down, Sphinx. Oh, that's a scary sight coming at you. And the enemy lord's like, nope, no, get me out of here. And in fact, he will shatter, and just as the Sphinx of Usek approaches him. Alright, this was the right decision. In my Immer campaign recently, I didn't destroy a unit of, or an army of Beastmen, and I knew I would regret it, and I didn't because there were other targets, and then ended up regretting it and then having to go back and destroy them later. So, not making that mistake again. At least, not in the near future. Very near future. Today. Man, and those poor beastmen, most of them didn't know what hit them, quite literally, because they were killed by a sandstorm. 218 kills, 78,000 damage on Khatep, and that was a single cast. The enemy army really blobbed up in a way that lent itself well to Khatep's casting, and he still doesn't have his own skull storm, but, well, he's working on it. Anyway, we're going to take Endless March again, which we, by the looks of it, are just going to keep on taking. And just because we need the cash more than we need the healing. Warrior Bane, not a bad pickup. We can certainly put that on one of the Lich Priests. And actually, speaking of Lich Priests, we do have another one available, don't we? And we should start leveling him. Do we have one that's wise? No wise ones, though. That's a little bit of a shame. If we level up Khatep, we could wait and get the Lich Priest at level 4 if we get him 2 levels. Though I wanted to get Tomb Protector so we could get him a bunch of Tomb Guard, like, quick. Which ain't happening right now. Also, if we put him into March stance, we can't travel much further than Tyrant Peak, so we could go here and recruit a few units, so I guess that's what we're gonna do. Also, who are you at war with now, Sisters of Twilight? Nobody. Would you now be willing to join war against Hag Grief? We don't actually want the sisters to move southward here because we don't want to compete for territory with them, as especially now that they are our defensive allies. You will upgrade that Sepulchre, and, well, we're going to upgrade stuff in Ice Rock Gorge after. Ashen Coast, we can... Ooh, wait, Tyrant Pick is already ready to go to Tier 3? That's fantastic. I didn't even realize that. That actually changes matters. Namely, we need to delete you in a few turns. Alright, then we're not going to upgrade you, we're going to delete you in a few turns to build military structures here because we need additional capacities. This will give us various capacities for our new army. Beautiful. Working out swell. Alright, I believe, unless we have Diplo, we're ready to go to next turn, and I see no Diplo as of now, so next turn we shall go. Blood in the Roots and Heralds of Ariel. Once we have Tomb Guard, we'll probably do the Lich Staff. I don't know what the quest is, but since it's Khatep's only quest, there's a decent likelihood of it being reasonably difficult, so why not? Alright, this is going to be a Tier 2, though I fear we'll have to build our army up here. It'll take 4 turns to get to Royal Barracks. And we could probably just build up regular Tomb Guard here somewhere. Might be faster. Because it'll take a while and then we can move back. Alright, either way, that doesn't change the fact that we have to end the turn, so end the turn we shall. I'm expecting to see the Beastmen, to see Taurox come over the mountains. Maybe not now, but sooner rather than later, so we have to watch out for our territory. I was hoping that the Sisters of Ariel would take care of him for us rather than us having to send an army up there, but more likely than not, nobody else is going to be physically capable of wiping Torok's out. Hello, we have hero capacity increase. Well, now that we have a construct and the fact that I'm envisioning Khatep's army as having a bunch of Hyro Titans, because in my opinion, Khatep should buff Hyro Titans. He buffs no units specifically and just buffs a bunch of random stuff. Hyro Titans are kind of like the height of construct plus mortuary cult, because there's a high priest inside every single one of them, and thus he should buff them. Somebody, please. But anyway, call upon the Necrotect is what we're going to do. Though I am tempted by the money, a hero capacity increase will always be the better pick. Call upon Necrotect. Alright, and this increases our capacity, not just anything else. You, area... Yeah. Toxic Venom, Blood Roar, 10 when fighting against armies is... That's actually pretty solid. That's actually pretty solid. I like it. It doesn't do any kind of direct buff to our constructs, but I do like it. Just out of curiosity, we have another Nehekaran Ingenuity, Phonetic, and Intelligent. Income from post-battle loot, not bad, but I think ours is better. And still no Wise. Alright, well. Let's have to mill through those guys. In fact, you know what, while we're here, let's just mill through a few of them. 1 and done, and 2 for fun, and 3 for I can't think of another rhyme, so just die. Alright, there we go, good to go. I wish Khatep was here to reduce the cost of these. Unless... Well, we can build both, that's pretty much the only thing we can build. And I do want the Sepulchral Stalkers up and running as well, plus the Lord. As for Lords... Ooh, look at this guy. He buffs all the constructs. Not by a crazy amount, though. Venerated Priest gives us Guardian. This guy buffs, speed for Nehekara Warriors, Skeleton Spears, and Tomb Guard, and Missile Resistance. That's pretty solid. What about the Tomb Kings? Similar buffs for melee units, Storm Banner, Area Hex, and Ammunition increase. I'm kind of thinking that we do a Lich High Priest first. I know that we already have some, but I'm kind of interested to see what they do, like what their sort of Lord line is going to look like. Especially because all of the legendary Lords, the legendary Tomb Kings, one of which we could in theory get really soon, all of these guys are Tomb Kings. They're not priests. And thus we could do a bunch of Lich High Priests plus the legendary Tomb Kings. That makes more sense to me. Anyway, out of all these, I'm gonna say Resurgent Memories is the superior one. As for where we recruit you, you wouldn't be able to build here. Oh, Plane of Dogs is also upgradable to the next tier. Damn, everything's so costly. It's all so bloody costly. And I fear about these guys taking our stuff, but anyway. Khatep, you can reach Iron Spike from here, or you can colonize Sulphurettes, but at 2.5k, that's probably not going to happen. You're still fighting Sildrator and the Daughters of the Forest, so you're clearly distracted. Oh, I didn't build stuff with Khatep because I got so excited to go to next turn. I could spend another turn building, but I guess we could just build something at Iron Spike instead. That's probably what we should do. I'm honestly thinking the Royal Barracks might not be as worth it to us right now. But we still, I guess if we want to build other chariots and screaming skulls, we still have to be here. Damn it, alright, fine. Start a plane of spiders then, Lich High Priest, and Resurgent Memories, like so. And a little bit of money, a little bit of Canopic Jars. Now, what can you do? Curiosity. So, you can pick Lore of Nehekara or Lore of Light, or I assume Lore of Death. That's kind of neat. You can basically choose whichever lore you want. I like that. 5th Generation Priest gives you a little bit of research rate, growth in the local province. Canopic Jar Generation, which you can combine with further Canopic Jar Generation via the Canopic Jar Holder. We got cooldown -2% to all spells, all characters faction-wide. Well, that's kind of interesting. Get a bunch of these guys and get lots of that, but they don't seem to buff any particular units either. I mean, they do buff units through their traits, but you know what I mean. And you get Arcane Conduit fairly early. Alright, well, I haven't decided which lure you're going to get. We could also get you, well, we could double up on the lures because we could give you a regular Lich Priest as well. For now, however, you've got recruiting to do, so. Start on the Tomb Guard, or the first Tomb Guard, and get some Nehekara warriors, maybe a couple skeleton archers. You should still have an army, after all. And I guess to speed up some things, we could start another skeleton archer through global recruitment. We'll have more capacity via various things shortly. Next, you'll want to start on that quicksand swamp, and at the very least build a skull repository. Do we wait on the royal barracks? Is it more important that we get the tier 3 up and running at the Plain of Dogs? I feel like it is. Even though we can't afford it right now anyway. Man. I mean, we could start collecting income in a few other places. We might need to. Alright, switch to Worship of Asaph. And I guess we can wait the one turn to upgrade this. I guess we could wait the... It'd take 4 turns. It'd take a lot of turns, too. But at least this will allow us to upgrade the Plain of Dogs to the Mausoleum. And then both of these places are being upgraded right now, so yeah, I think that's the way to do it, especially since we're going to remove Worship of Asaph right now. You could also, I guess, build a temporary obelisk to generate a teensy bit of cash. I forget, what gives us additional Screaming Skull Catapult capacity? It's the chariot building, eh? We'll definitely need more of those. We also want to try to get one of the Fated Pyramidions up and running as fast as possible, but for now, and just go for Obelisk. Yeah. At least with a decent amount of control, we won't have to worry about stuff. You can collect income for a couple turns until your control fixes itself, though. And there we go. Assuming no Diplo. And assuming correctly, we have... Ooh, wait. Alright, so do we risk attacking Iron Spike? Yeah, let's move close to it, and let's see what's over there. If there's a full stack, or if there's nothing. I see nothing. I see nothing. I do see Hexoatl nearby, and we will most likely attack them. How many territories do you have, Morathi? You have the 4. So Ancient City of Quintex, Petrified Forest, Sildra Tor, and Iron Spike. We have them all. You're also at war with 2, you're about to be at war with 3. We'll ask you... to join the war against the Cult of Pleasure for, 2,000 money. Ooh. We could do the trade agreement with them, but the thing is, I think right now in the early game we'd rather have the money. And frankly, once again, there is a decent likelihood that they'll get into a fight with these sisters, so we'll wait on this, and we'll see. Man, this is worth so much that they're almost willing to become our vassal, just... Man, like really close to becoming vassalized. We could trade them 1 territory and probably vassalize them via that. If only. Only they were at war with more factions, or if only we were at peace with Sildra Tor, but there's nothing we could give them other than this for the vassalage. So I think we just take the money then. 677 versus... Wait, how much money would it be? It's not a lot. We don't have a lot of... Well, we don't have any trade goods right now, so yeah, just do this. Agreement. And this won't make them much friendlier with us, but we'll see. You guys don't actually mind that, surprisingly. I thought you guys hated each other. Well, there's a massive amount of aversion, but you're not fighting, but you probably will be. Now, that amount of money gave us the ability to upgrade the Skull Repository to the next tier. Get that Screaming Skull Catapult earlier. Just the 1. I can't believe it doesn't increase Skeleton Chariot capacity at all, just gives us one additional Screaming Skull or whatever. Oh, damn, I also should not be upgrading these, but we don't have the money for that either. But that's early game Tomb Kings for you. No worries. You too. We have the thing that we wanted there. We could do the little extra bit of research rate. Or we could just in case get that Disciple of Osirian. I'm inclined to say Justice of Osirian first, and then we'll go for the Keeper of Lore afterwards. Yeah, Disciple of Osirian. I like the Will of Tra, don't get me wrong, the explosion, knockback, damage, but getting these guys into a dangerous situation is not necessarily a good idea, because they're quite fragile, so, yeah. Anyway, you proceed to Iron Spike. I don't see Morathi's main stack. This is not worth fighting. I'll resolve and occupy. Then we will immediately recruit I'm gonna say 2 skeleton spears. I was wondering whether we should do 2 carrion, but frankly we have a lot of fast movers and it shouldn't matter over much. Do we now have the money to upgrade you? No, still no. Oh damn, alright. And Necrotech, you need to come here. I need you to help the Sphinx. Also gotta watch out for it getting wrecked by auto-resolve. Because it's a distinct possibility. Khatep, you got yourself another level. And while, ooh, you have the Grand Hierophant right now, yeah, 10 canopic jars per turn. Can't say no to that, especially considering that we're drawing close to the ability to build another army. End turn. Alright, now let's see if Morathi reacts to this, whether she will move to defend one of these territories, or whether she will allow us to continue to approach the ancient city of Quintex. Indeed, she will attack us with an absolutely monstrous amount of dark shards. We're gonna have to be real careful about this, as we were not done healing. Close to feed, eh? And Morathi has Penumbral, or Ava has Penumbral Pendulum available. Morathi has the Wand of Caradon and Arnsapel's Black Horror as well. Lots of spell work potential out of them. And we still have trouble going after enemy lords. But nonetheless, go. Alright, Khatep, we'll sacrifice them. We get it. Man, the old lords really are very quiet compared to a lot of the new lords who like to make long and grand speeches prior to battles. I do hope that maybe they add a few lines, although maybe it's hard to get the same voice actors, again, for previous rules. But a few lines updated would be nice. Anyway, all that aside, this is going to be a grand and glorious battle, regardless of a grand and glorious speech. The enemy not only have better troops than us pretty much all around, as skeleton warriors and archers are going to be inferior to dark shards and bleak swords and the like, 45 and 40, 46, 41, solid stats on those guys, plus murderous prowess, plus 60 armor and shields against skeleton warriors, and even Nehekara warriors, they will carry the day. And that's not even counting shielded dark shards, which would be able to obliterate skeleton archers like nobody's business. And all the elites coming in. 2 units of witch elves, demon nets, we got 3 units of shades with dual blades as well, plus Morathi, another sorceress, etc, etc, etc. We got our work cut out for us, is what I'm getting at. We're going to do our best to bombard the enemy with our Casket of Souls before they're annoyed enough to move towards us. We're also going to start spamming that Spirit Leech. Not on Morathi, as we will hopefully leave him to the Sphinx of Usek, but on Ava, the Supreme Sorceress of Shadows. Huh. Ava, eh? We have a community canon, a lord slash hero sorceress called Ava Dark Phoenix. Perhaps this is her. I don't know why she's wielding the lore of shadows, but nonetheless always interesting to see. Anyway, we've blocked off, or to the degree that we can, a sort of pass here, and we're going to hope to funnel the enemy down towards it while they move towards us. Looks like we're getting some great shots off with our Casket of Souls, and every single enemy unit heavily damaged will be important in the battle to come. As once again, we're definitely going to have to work for it. Alright, a little bit more, and the cooldown from that Lich Priest of Death should pop, and we should be able to get another Spirit Leech on that Sorceress, and try to do that morale shock to the enemy by dishing out consistent damage with that Spirit Leech. Ooh, and here come the enemy Demonettes and Witch Elves running ahead of the enemy army. Hopefully a little bit of bombardment from that Casket of Souls will send them, well, at the very least, the Demonettes into banishment. The damage from the Casket of Souls is magical. However, the unfortunate aspect of this is that it is super inaccurate, and the Demonettes are both fast and able to dodge things like that, as well as the fact that they have a loose formation in the first place. Funnily enough, Caskets of Souls are ideally used against other undead. A line of slow-moving, tight formation skeletal warriors would be a much better, well, single target for the Casket. Obviously, blobs of units are even better, but, you know. Anyway, there's an assassin over here as well, but more likely than not, we're going to have to leave him and his handbow to last, as there's just no likelihood that we'll be able to dish out any damage to him. I'm gonna get another Skullstorm or Sandstorm up and running from Khatep, just to once again get it on cooldown and to hit the Demonettes, which takes about half HP off them, which ain't too bad. Our flankers have not yet committed themselves. We have 2 units of Nehekara horsemen waiting up on this plateau and in forest above, and all 4 of our units of chariots doing the same thing here. There's a unit of shades and a unit of dark shards here. Our units have been revealed and are getting ready to charge on forth. We also have the garrison units. There's only, what, I'd like 10 to 16... 10% units left in them, but that's fine as we've sent them ahead of the army and the AI will focus them down first. AI is still kind of dumb about the way it uses the penumbral pendulum as well, but we've also sort of interspersed our army or separated our forces so a penumbral pendulum can't hit multiple units at the same time. So it's, well, it's by design. Let's go with that. Alright, and finally the enemy army makes their way towards us. And they did have to wait for Morathi to get on the field. Looks like we have managed to damage the Demonettes fairly heavily with the Casket of Souls and with spells, and now with a little bit of fire from our archers. And they are melting away rather than closing the distance, which is certainly working out for us. Alright, here they come together with those Witch Elves. Do have to be wary of that Madness of Cain ability that they have, forcing your units to go into Rampage, but what we'll do is get a few units in their way. These skeletal warriors summoned from our units of our Lich Priests. You can't control this ability, at least not really, but you can sort of position them near to units and thereby cause these guys to get on field. And them blocking off critical units like the Witch Elves and for a few seconds the Demonettes works out well for us. Plus, any damage we do to our own units is fine because these things still charge our Realm of Souls, and the closer we get to that Ushabti activation, the better it will go for us. Out here, our chariots have charged in, though a few have been caught by the shades. They're having a little bit of trouble maneuvering through the water and through the shades, slowed down by, what, by half of their speed, which is quite a bit. All enemies debuff -15, crumbling -19. Oh, crumbling also slows you down. That's not great. This poor chariot. Well, they're gonna have a bad time, but at least if they die, it'll enable, well, they'll keep the enemy from firing, and hopefully enable the Necropolis Knights to do the work in the background. Our Sphinx of Usek is moving around. We're gonna get a few hits away on the enemy Witch Elves here. We're holding the line together with some Dread Spears. That said, this is not a great use for the Sphinx. We just charge the enemy to try to send those units running, but we'll be sending said Sphinx after Morathi instead. And there she is, right on cue for once. A last battle against the Beastmen, the Sphinx didn't have much to do, but with 2 hits of those big old arm weapons, Morathi drops down to half of her HP. She's not a large unit, and the Necrosphinxes are meant to obliterate enemy large units. I'm sure we'll have plenty of work for it against the Lizardmen, but here it looks like it'll knock out Morathi pretty darn quick. Over in the back line, our fast movers have arrived. That said, once again, the enemy does outnumber us, and we are getting flanked and hit in our main line as well. But at least a lot of the enemy army is unable to fire. Carrion have landed upon a unit of Dark Shards. Our chariots are causing havoc in the background, though I believe one of them has at this point crumbled away just due to the sort of hybrid nature and damage coming out in melee from those shades. And another unit is in very bad shape, another unit of skeletal chariots. We're going to have to sort of move it away and be prepared to run it off-field. Looks like the Sphinx of Usek has brought Morathi down, even while souls released from the casket scream overhead. And we'll send the Sphinx to deal with the enemy master and, or is it masters? I think they have 2 masters on the field, as well as the enemy assassin, soon as possible. In fact, the Sphinx doesn't care about those piles of infantry and will try to use its mass to get through them and towards this master on Cold One out here. Frankly, we do have to be very careful, as the master will kill off our, ooh, nice charge from the Sphinx, will kill off our mages if we let it. We save the infantry for the for the War Sphinxes, not the Necro Sphinxes, as soon as we have War Sphinxes. Though once again, this will be a Hyro Titan army. Hyro Titans for the Hierophant. And looks like these Sphinxes got the Master down to about half HP. The second enemy Sorceress has died somewhere under the unstopping Spirit Leeches from the start of the battle. Took 7 minutes worth of Spirit Leeches, so it did take a while, but at the end of the day, it did work. Khatep is kind of heavily damaged at about half HP, and we do have to be careful about him crumbling away, but the battle has turned in our favor at about 65, maybe 70%. We also just need a few more losses, a few more skeletons sacrificed, and the Realm of Souls Tier 3 will activate, allowing us to summon our Ushabti at last. Unfortunately, putting too many skeleton chariots and Nehekar horsemen and single entities or sort of elite units in an army gives you the problem of not having the Realm of Souls active constantly, because you don't suffer losses, means you don't get the activation, means you don't get the free Ushabti summoning, which isn't great, generally speaking. Fortunately, though, we still have our Sandstorm abilities, which are working out quite nicely for us. Alright, this unit of Nehekar warriors is pretty much done, but they bravely held off some Dread Spears for quite a while. The Realm of Souls finally activates, though too late by the looks of it, for this particular unit. And the enemy assassin being focused down by the Sphinx now, having taken out that Master. And the assassin stands no more chance than the Master or Morathi did. And finally, we have our Realm of Souls summoning. Ushabti make their way on the field, and this unit of relatively decent HP Shades will be their target. The other major threat remaining on the field after all, and they should get minced by the anti-infantry melee Ushabti relatively quickly. In fact, with that last unit of theirs engaged, the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. It took a lot of work. A lot of our units are damaged. I think a couple might still crumble away post-battle as we chase the enemy down, but this is probably the strength of Morathi's faction. As long as not too many units escape, her faction may be broken just from this fight. And what a glorious fight it was. Ooh, alright, very nice. We were able to pull it off, though at the cost of roughly half of our army, actually a little bit more, though once again, several of our units just crumbled away after the battle was over. On the bright side, however, due to the nature of the victory, it looks like we got a massive amount of money for it, and big old payday, and we'll certainly take it. As for kills, Khatep got 50k damage. The Sphinx did okay at 16k, but nothing crazy. He did manage to kill off Morathi, but we actually got just as much damage out of the flock of Joff and the chariots, or at least these chariots, as well. And these guys were a little bit late to the fight. The Casca did great as usual, and the Necropolis Knights did the best of everybody, but don't they always? Endless March, and they will not besiege us. Good. That'll allow us at least to heal up and then chase the enemy down. Some great battles in this particular episode, and we got that Hag Butcher trait, hero action cost reduction, hero self-defense chance. Not really anything we care about. Unless we have steel tech, and I just don't remember. Do we have steel tech available to us on hero action cost versus enemy? No. Yeah. We're not going to do any hero action costs, so bury him. I will give this a read, though. Lich priests should live only to serve... that Judas priest. To live only to serve their king's undying will. Betrayal should be anathema to their order, yet one among their number has betrayed us by conspiring with a rival tomb king. How should we proceed? Bury him. 1,000 years confined to his tomb, with maybe just a few scarabs and scorpions for company, should teach this treacherous cleric the error of his ways. Alright. Enemy killed in battle, Hag Butcher, 2 little mini stacks remaining. And we've healed up reasonably nicely. Hey, and we get the Blessed Legion of Fox as a reward for it. Where is that Necrotect? Oh, you're still a ways away, sir. Alright, well, get here. We need your increased mobility. Wait, you don't have steel tech, do you? No. Wait, so these guys don't have steel tech. And these guys don't have steel tech. That means nobody has steel tech. Okay. Frankly, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because we don't then have to do, you know, the whole agent spam thing where we have like a million guys stealing tech all at once. Frankly, it's kind of a hassle to do so anyway, so I don't mind at all. Khatep, you have 1 point available to you. While it, oh man, it would be really nice to buff up these guys. Fairly considerable buff. On the other hand, 2 Tomb Guard capacity will enable us to get more Tomb Guard faster. I wonder if we'd level up by attacking these guys. And also I wonder how much the auto-resolve will hurt us if we do. We are effectively able to freely take Sildra Tor. The Grey Rock Point is right here. They might have a full stack over there, I don't know. Well, either way, we should probably attack this. What's the auto-resolve say about this? Close victory, medium caches. Alright. Alright, you know what, folks, I think this battle is kind of a waste of time and we just obliterate them, so I'm going to actually call the episode here. We're out of time anyway. I'll do this little garbage fight between the episodes, just so we don't have to waste good time on screen. Obviously, we'd win this since we effectively have the same army, plus the poison-applying new Blessed Legion in higher levels. Next time, we hoping we hoping to hit the Legion, or not Legion, this ancient city of Quintex and capture that first Book of Nagash for ourselves, and maybe even wipe out Morathi real quick and before moving on to Sildra Tor and possibly turning upon the lizards. Hopefully they'll give us at least a few turns of leeway, but it remains to be seen. A pretty epic campaign so far, in my opinion, as we had a couple of battles this episode that, well, that took some effort to win, which isn't always the case for some campaigns. Certainly given me those good old Kislev vibes, though not so much because we're surrounded by enemies, and like we were in the Kislev campaign, but because we have to work for our victories here too. Anyway, more Khatep to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially to Threshold. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.